This move just revealed a lot about the Vancouver Canucks as Patrik Allvin announces today they place a forward that came in with high expectations on waivers, as multiple Abbotsford players have shined during this preseason and training camp, forcing Patrik Allvin to have a huge decision to make heading into game one of the season. We're going to break down this one player placed on waivers today that might come as a bit of a shock to some fans, but not only that, we're going to break down multiple players coming out of Abbotsford that are pushing Allvin's hand to crack this lineup. We're going to break down all of this and so much more later on in this episode, but before we hop into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching. If you're part of the 58% watching this and you haven't hit the sub button yet, but you want to stay up to date on everything to do around the Vancouver Canucks, from roster moves, trades, reports, rumors, anything you can think of, you can catch right here on Canucks Digest. So go ahead and hit that free subscribe button. It means the world. And in return, we'll give you daily updates from all around the team. But with that, we'll hop straight into where we're seeing this Vancouver Canucks team finally come together. We're seeing a lot of roster moves, players sent to Abbotsford, players placed on waivers that we're going to touch on, and multiple young Abbotsford players taking the next step. Now, we do see last night an 8-1 win against the Calgary Flames. We love to see the Canucks steamroll any Canadian team, especially Calgary and Edmonton, but the biggest thing is we're seeing a lot of Abbotsford players really take the jump and push Allvin's hand into making them join the roster. Now, we've seen last night Max Sasson, 2 goals. We've seen Bains play great. There's so many players that really have showed out, and that had led to the Vancouver Canucks placing Kravtsov on waivers today after a huge season in the KHL and a lot of fans expecting him to take a jump joining the NHL. Now we're going to break down Kravtsov and a bit of Joseph LaBate, who is a bit of a surprise, who did go back to Abbotsford today. But the biggest story right now is Kravtsov. Now with him coming over from the KHL, we see in the year he just came up, putting up 27 goals, 58 points. Kravtsov is a player that looked like he was poised to join this Canucks team, immediately join a middle six role, and finally break into the NHL. Now, going into training camp, he looked fine. The preseason, he looked a little worse, and I'm guessing the Canucks management truly looked at this guy and said, hey, you have no future on this team in the NHL. He can clear waivers and go to Abbotsford, but it does open the picture that if Kravtsov does clear waivers, goes to Abbotsford, there's a chance that the Canucks and Kravtsov do decide on a mutual termination on his contract so he can return to the KHL. Now, the big thing is Kravtsov is a player that can be claimed on waivers. There's teams that are going to be lined up. We've seen the reports coming from Thomas Drench just a few weeks ago that Kravtsov, if placed on waivers, teams are going to be looking at the forward. Now, he signed his one-year deal with the Vancouver Canucks, $775K, and seeing him not work out with the Canucks organization does feel a little bad. This is a former top 10 pick, someone joining this team that I was excited for, coming off a nearly 30-goal season in the KHL. But with all these guys stepping up, it's not surprising in the sense that Kravtsov was put on waivers for his play, but it is surprising to see him not take a grasp of this situation and really make the push to join the lineup. Now we see Joseph LaBate. I'm not going to stick on him too much, but the way he's been standing out on the Canucks, I do love this guy. I think he's going to make an immediate impact and be a fan favorite on Abbotsford. We seen him clear waivers a few days ago, finish in a preseason game just to be resigned to go back to Abbotsford for their training camp. But I'm excited to see LaBate get into a bunch of games, but going back into Kravtsov. This is a team that wants to inspire to be a Stanley Cup champion in the coming seasons. We know they have cap space. Kravtsov was not affecting this. If he clears waivers, it's the same contract going down as a $775K. But the Canucks are kind of clearing up roster spots as they get closer with their main roster coming together now. And another move does seem imminent. And I mean, listen, I'm going to do a full video as the Canucks are attached to a name coming out of the Western Conference, which will come out tonight. But the Canucks team, and where it is a little more surprising, is with Nils Höglander out with an injury, Kravtsov seemed like he had a better chance to crack into the middle six of this lineup. But when looking at the guys that showed out, especially last night in Max Sasson, we've seen Coots all preseason in the training camp, anywhere at all, this Canucks team had the opening on that left wing spot. But with Linus Karlsson, Coots, Bains, Sasson, there's a list of names. These guys outplayed someone that just came off an incredible season in the KHL, which does make me think a team is going to take a swing, look at Kravtsov and say, hey, we would like to give you a chance. We have a couple of games left of the preseason. Hop in. If you look good, you crack the team. If not, go back to the KHL. So I think the Canucks have a couple options. He can clear waivers, stay with Abbotsford, he could be claimed, or the Canucks could go the route that we just seen the Utah Mammoth do with Connor Ingram. Once he does clear waivers, you can trade him to another team. They can take him, use him in the minors, and then bring him up after working. It's going to get interesting, and I'm a little shocked that Patrik Allvin, or at least it hasn't been reported that he was packaging him in deals with other clubs. But the big thing with this Canucks team is, once again, we're going back into a lot of guys stepping up over Kravtsov. You can see Braden Coots in his 3 preseason games, 2 goals, 1 assist. You work your way down to Arshdeep Bains, who had 2 assists last night, putting up 3 in his games. Victor Mancini, 2 goals, a forward, but a little different. Looking through the list, Kravtsov is not a guy that stood out to this management group, which is something the Canucks need going into a crucial season when they need to get a hot start. Max Sasson looked outstanding last night. And listen, the Canucks look great, but Calgary also looked terrible. This is the Canucks team that have multiple players fighting for this position. It would be different if it was a couple seasons ago. There was no players trying to fight for this spot. Kravtsov comes in, a former 9th pick that's coming into a team and a new atmosphere, but the Canucks know what they have in Kravtsov. Adam Foote clearly didn't like what he's seen. So guys like Max Sasson are making this extra push to crack into the lineup to get Niels Höglander's spot. This is going into Linus Karlsson, who had an incredible season last year. 23 goals, 39 points, 26 points in 24 playoff games with what Patrik Allvin is doing. And I really do appreciate how he's looking at this total landscape of the team. He's taking these guys. He said before, he's publicly went out that players wanted to come in on a PTO, but he wants to give the young guys from Abbotsford the chance, the opportunity after a successful season to hop into this lineup. And I do have a lot of respect with that. Just giving the opportunity to the players within your organization instead of an outside name. Like we see with Kravtsov coming over from the KHL. Yes, he was a part of the organization. Yes, they owned his rights, but these guys made the push. Guys like Sasson, anyone in between with Linus Karlsson, these players took a big step in the right direction for the Canucks. And I do truly think Patrik Allvin looked at the end of the day and said, hey, we have a lot of guys that are within the organization, built a culture, worked with Manny Malhotra. They know the system. Well, Adam Foote has a bit of a system change, which thank God we're not doing dump chase. The game looks a lot better. But overall, what is happening with this Canucks team feels like the right direction that a lot of fans have wanted for the years to come. Give the opportunity to the young guys. We've seen them work their butts off last year. Manny Malhotra has a great system that has translated perfectly into the Canucks system. So I do think with the young guys from Abbotsford making that push, getting into the lineup, we're seeing a shift in a culture change. It almost feels like players want to be here. Even if you look at the outside media that said they don't, we've seen players like Brock, Demko, even Garland sign these extensions. Something big is building within this Canucks organization. They're going into a season that's crucial. They need to get to a hot start. PD looks great. But what is your guys' thoughts on this? Were you surprised to see Kravtsov not get a chance? You think he's going back to Russia? Who do you think claims him if he doesn't go clear on waivers? Let us know down in the comments. And speaking on comments, let's go into comments today. Coming from Callum McKenzie, and he says, Kaprizov just made Elias Pettersson seem like a bargain bin win. And if you didn't see this, we seen the contract that was signed, $17 million. And it doesn't even stop there. We're seeing guys throughout the league, Lacombe with the Ducks sign his $9 million deal. We even seen Luke Hughes come in on his $9 million deal. This is the big thing with Pettersson. Yes, 11.6 might seem like a lot of money, but as the contracts get bigger, his contract will start to look smaller. And I do think with the breakout season, fans are going to look at this like it's an absolute heist. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Right down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, so keep your eye for that. But I've been your host, Mark, and take care, Canucks fans.